Surrounded by multi-billion ringgit skyscrapers, Chow Kit is a stone's throw away from KL's most iconic landmarks. However, life for the community living in this area hasn't seemed to have benefited from modernization. Chow Kit is home to the urban poor, whose living conditions have gotten worse due to the pandemic and prolonged movement restrictions. Despite the government's efforts to cushion the economic implications of lockdowns, most of the people living and working in Chow Kit are crippled with little to no income for months.
Even before I started involve myself in all of this, when you say Chow Kit, takut lah. Gangsterism. You always link it up. Sex work, drugs, you name it. People are scared to come to Chow Kit. There are still some people scared to go to Chow Kit today, mind you.
So, what does life look like for the urban poor of Chow Kit during the pandemic? Less than a kilometer away from the World Trade Center in KL, there's a run-down 3-story building. Its long and damp corridor on the 3rd floor leads us to a tiny room where 34-year-old Malay, better known as Fire, lives. She has lived half of her life in Chow Kit. To make ends meet, Fire does sex work. But because of the pandemic, most of her days go by with no jobs.
Selama 17 tahun saya duduk Chow Kit, saya apa-apa benda pun saya tak ada. Baju, tempat tinggal yang tepat pun saya tak ada. Time Covid macam ni, saya boleh dapat RM20 atau RM30 je untuk makan. Itu pun kalau ada. Kalau tak ada, tak ada. RM1, RM2 simpan untuk makan.
Life for Fire, however, wasn't any easier before the pandemic. She's been jailed multiple times for offences including drugs and sex work.
Saya masuk umur 17 tahun. Saya dah pernah masuk penjara. First, saya masuk penjara kerja macam ni. Lama-lama pun dah 16 kali keluar masuk. Dalam kes IC, dadah, cari makan macam ni. Last yang paling lama sekali 14 bulan. Tahun lepas baru saya keluar. Itu je lah pengalaman yang saya paling.
After spending 17 years in Chow Kit, Fire doesn't own anything apart from an old radio, a torn mattress, a pillow, and a soft toy. All she wants is to be able to find a proper job and turn over a new leaf in life once the pandemic is over.
Selama 17 tahun saya duduk dekat Chow Kit cari makan macam ni, memang tak ada kemajuan. Tapi harapan saya ialah habis Covid ini, pergi tempat lain, cari kerja yang boleh baik lagi, dengan tinggal kerja yang macam ni, dengan mula hidup baru. Dengan kalau boleh saya nak rapat dengan family saya nak buktikanlah yang saya boleh berjaya dalam hidup dengan berubah. Itu harapan saya selepas Covid ini.
Fire isn't the only one going through the extreme effects of the lockdowns. 35-year-old Sasha left her hometown in Pahang 2 years ago to find a better paying job in KL. After a brief stint as a beauty shop promoter, the pandemic forced Sasha out of job. She now does sex work in Chow Kit.
So saya ingatkan pekerjaan sex worker ni tak ada apa-apa something ke apa. So sekarang ni baru saya rasa macam mana teruknya bekerja sebagai sex worker. And then semenjak MCO ni memang teruk sangat perbelanjaan apa semua, dan juga yelah customer pun tak ada apa semua. Kadang-kadang nak bayar duit bilik, makan, kadang-kadang cukup-cukup makan je. So kalau boleh lepas MCO ni mungkin saya akan cari kerja yang tetap lah. Sebab saya lebih mau kepada kerja yang tetap yang ada gaji bulan macam tu.
Living in an old filthy apartment with poor hygiene conditions, she finds it tough to cope with a 900 ringgit monthly rental commitment without a stable income.
Saya dah tak tahan dah apa semua kerja sebagai sex worker ni. Lagi satu dengan nak bayar duit bilik sehari RM30 apa semua. So kalau kita total sebulan 900 macam duduk apartment semua. So kalau boleh mungkin habis MCO ni mungkin saya akan kembali kepada pekerjaan tetap saya lah. Sebab saya lebih more kepada pekerjaan yang tetap macam tu. Sekarang ni pun orang cakap sebab dah MCO kan, so saya terpaksa buat kerja macam ni. Kalau tak ada MCO, kemungkinan saya pun tak kenal kawan-kawan kat sini kot. Sebab saya mungkin dah bekerja kan, dah biasa macam tu. Dan lagi satu, dengan keadaan tempat dekat sini, saya rasa tak selesa, and then sempit, and then keadaan sekeliling macam pandangan orang, lepas tu tindakan orang baling-baling telur apa semua, hina-hina apa semua kan. So kalau boleh lepas daripada MCO ni, mungkin saya akan keluar daripada sini. And then saya akan cari tempat yang lebih selesa bagi diri saya lah. Itu je.
Although the pandemic may have brought a new set of challenges in life, generational poverty and multi-layered social issues aren't a new problem in Chow Kit. HIV advocate and PT Foundation chairman Hisham Hussein believes the living condition in Chow Kit today is way better than what it used to be 20 years ago.
No, today punya Chow Kit is a lot better compared to those days lah. Tapi even for me, quite honestly, sometimes when I think about those days, I still feel a tinge of, yes, it's better today, kesian kat dia orang. Because many have seen like what happened to them. Did we do right? Did we do enough? Did we try to help them? Probably the majority of those people that I saw at the streets behind Tumatu, probably they are dead by today. Dulu mana ada ubat HIV?
The slight improvement in Chow Kit is the result of various initiatives over the past 20 years. But the question is that the best we can achieve in 2 decades?
So maybe, I don't know, what the government needs to do, yes, is spruce up the place, help out, make it more popular, turn it into a touristic thing lah. It has got a whole lot of history behind Chow Kit. Why are we not doing anything about it? Yes, there were the bad times, so look at it today, we've improved. Yes, I suppose nobody wants to talk about those people who died in the streets on the back lanes. So people forget they are human.
It also seems like the pandemic has reversed the hard work meant to help Chow Kit. Justin Chia, who has been at the forefront of Kachara Soup Kitchen's activities to feed the needy, has noticed more new faces asking for free meals since the pandemic began.
Well, the first impression you have in Chow Kit is probably the wise activities that are being held over there in the past few decades or so. It has come to a point where, it stays with the name Chow Kit. When you hear Chow Kit, it's not something usually pleasant. Yeah, no doubt there's a bit of a facelift around that area, but I feel still, we have people who are actually using drug users. Some of them are sex workers. Some of them who are too poor to rent a room somewhere else. They ended up over there. There's a lot of them who are not documented as well. So when these things happen, so people might have the impression of Chow Kit as one of the slum area, if you like. Yeah, but to sum it up, yes, there are a considerable amount of homeless people living around in the streets of Chow Kit.
start 2 bulan Covid tu saya dah tak ada kerja dah. Start tak ada kerja dah. Sebelum ni duk tumpang kawan lah. Tapi sekarang dah tak ada tempat lah, rasa lah. Makan tu ada orang bagi. Kadang-kadang ada tempat dia orang sediakan makan lah. Tapi itu kita tak mengharap sangat lah.
2 tahun saya kerja parking, sudah 5 tahun dalam kerja. Ya sudah bikin rumah 33. Sudah berhenti dalam kerja. Saya kerja lain tak boleh. Saya cakap lu umur sudah lepeh. Tak boleh kerja angkat berat, tak boleh. Lori mau pakai orang, saya cakap lu tak boleh pakai kerja ini. Saya cakap mainnya berat.
There is no doubt that the COVID-19 has dealt a severe blow to the economic livelihood of many people, regardless of their social class. The pandemic may disappear sooner or later, but for the urban poor, wage earners, and the unemployed, the challenge will be even greater as jobs become much harder to secure in the current economic environment. One can only hope that the escape from the vicious cycle of poverty will be possible. One day.